so many other industries. You will have farming as well, activities coming up, artists coming up, and so many others. So economic empowerment is one of the areas that we feel as a community we will benefit if we are invested in. Then we have cultural preservation and heritage promotion. Our culture is part of tourism in Kenya. We have the big five, and then you have the Maasais. And our culture is not about the dancing only. There's so much that we can share, that tourists can learn from us, but it will be great if they can learn authentic stories and authentic culture, not what we get in Google or what we read in some books. So we feel that this can also benefit if done authentically. Preserving traditions. Our culture, we are still very strong with our culture, and we would want to preserve the good culture. So how will we do that? Tourism can help us do that, because we are so sure we have so many tourists who would want to listen to authentic stories about our traditions. We have older people that are still alive that can be used in preserving these traditions. And education opportunities. Education is just not going to class. We can have education everywhere. We can have education even through the old folks that have not gone to school. They can be used as teachers to educate the tourists or our guests on our culture. Sorry. So this is a continuation, how tourism can benefit local communities. So sustainable environment practices is another point. And this is conservation awareness. We are all talking about conservation, but Maasais have always conserved the environment. But because we don't appreciate the indigenous knowledge, we don't know. What about now if we ensure that we merge the indigenous knowledge with modern knowledge so that environmental practices can be adhered to and respected? And revenue for conservation. How is revenue being shared? What is going to the community? And how is it going to the community? And who is the community? Because we have the gatekeepers. So sometimes those envelopes end there. They don't trickle down. And then sustainable tourism practices. We have a lot of sustainable tourism practices that we all know that are not being observed. And living along the tourist area, you actually see sometimes things that are happening and you just shake your head because you realize people take advantage of some other communities. So how are we ensuring that our tourism practices are sustainable? What are we doing? And we will discuss that in the next slides. Our social beliefs, education. We can have opportunity for scholarships for learners through tourism businesses. Healthcare. Why don't we have healthcare facilities around these lodges? Yet you have communities living around these lodges. So if tourism can now start thinking about also ensuring that those communities or the host communities also need the services that they also do have, like education, healthcare, and women empowerment, or youth and women empowerment, because they are the minorities. Then we have missed opportunities in tourism. And we have two main ones that come to mind. Lack of community involvement in decision-making, which I had mentioned before. Many tourism projects across Kajiado, and I'm sure in every other tourist attraction area, decisions are made without proper consultation with local community, especially women and youth. So when they call for meetings, you find that it's only the men that attend these meetings. You'll not find the youth, you'll not find the women. We have traditional leaders or outside investors that may be approached, but the very everyday people who live in the impact of tourism are rarely included, and those are the young people and the women. The Maasai, for the Maasai, this exclusion means projects are misaligned with cultural values and local priorities, resulting in mistrust and disengagement. We have a lot of gatekeepers even in our own communities now. So you have those who are the chair of the group ranches and everything that go and represent the community without consent of the community. So people are asking, we want to be heard. We have youth that are educated now that can also be given opportunities to be able to sit in these decision-making spaces. So our approach at Partner Yosim is to counter this by ensuring women, elders, and youth are not just included, but leading initiatives like the empowerment trails. So we are working to ensure that women and youth are now heard and also given opportunities to be in these spaces. And that is on lack of community involvement in decision-making. On environmental degradation and unsustainable practices that are happening in our in Amboseli or Masai Mara, we have unregulated tourism that has led to habitat destruction. If over Easter, for instance, last week, if you saw the number of vehicles that were going to Amboseli, and we had so many of them that, because it was rainy season, so some of them were not 4 wheels. So they got stuck and they blocked the road. So the tourists were even having issues accessing some of their lodges. So we have a challenge in unregulated tourism. And this is really leading to habitat destruction, over tourism in fragile ecosystem like Amboseli, where you have, it's very swampy and also harming the landscape that visitors come to see. Then you have off-road driving, overbuilt lodges, and poor waste management. You know very well, Masai Mara has had a big problem with off-road driving, that they've had to put very strict measures on that. And so is Amboseli, it's the same. The only lucky that they have the lake, so that sort of restricts the vehicles from moving out of the road. Maasai pastoralists who are traditionally conservation-minded have been excluded from formal conservation tourism decisions, yet suffer the consequences. As I mentioned, we border Amboseli, so we coexist with the livestock, with the wildlife. So when some of these decisions are being made, we have these elders that have the knowledge on how they've coexisted with the wildlife and conserved the environment, but they are not being included in some of the decisions that are being made. So they suffer the consequences because that is their habitat, that is their home. They're not going to move anywhere. They will coexist with the wildlife for the rest of their lives. And at Partner Yosim, we promote eco-conscious tourism with tree planting, local seedling nurseries, and environmental education woven into every visitor experience. So we ensure that we still educate our community members on something basic like tree planting. That this area, before, we had so many acacias, but they were cut. But they were cut because they didn't know the consequences of charcoal burning. So we educate them and ensure that at least when we have a workshop and session on climate action, we ensure we give out trees for the community members to go and plant. Sorry. I had mentioned about ignoring indigenous knowledge and practices, but just to go a bit deep on that, is we feel that many tourism and conservation projects overlook the deep ecological knowledge held by the Maasai community. Knowledge that was passed down generation on land management, animal behavior, and climate adaptation. A few years ago, we had a child that got lost. When this child got lost, of course, we are bordering Amboseli, so everyone was out to search for this child. It was a girl, because of the lions. People are afraid of lions or elephants. They're the ones that really give us problems there. So this girl disappeared for 9 days. And she was found actually crossed. She's already crossed to go towards Amboseli. And how it was found, even with the KWS security personnel and everything, it was an old man that ended up finding this girl. And they followed her footsteps. They did what they used to do when children used to get lost during their Moran times, when they used to steal animals, until they found where the girl was sleeping. And she was so weak, so she slept under a tree, under a bush. She was found, but very weak. So some of this knowledge can be used even in addressing challenges that we happen now. We also have Maasai elders, herbalists, and cultural knowledge holders. We have good culture and bad culture. Some of the good culture is what we are saying, how do we preserve? How do we ensure that we take advantage of the older people that we have now to preserve this culture, because it's not just good for us, but it's good for other generations as well. Oh, sorry. My goodness. Then we have the exclusion of this knowledge weakens both resilience and authenticity and risk erasing traditions that have kept people and nature in balance for centuries. We have, Maasais have had this knowledge, they have coexisted with lifestyle, they have, they've been good at taking care of their environment. But because we are all talking about modern theories now, or modern models, they don't understand. So they just shut. They shut, they don't engage, and we think they are being ignorant. They're not being ignorant. It's because they don't understand what we are talking about. But if we go and actually ensure that we include them and also bring what we can match from what they were doing to what we are doing now, then we will all be in sync. We can invite elders to lead cultural education sessions for tourists and youth. This is something that we are very passionate about as Patina Yosim. We believe the best storytellers are those that understand the culture properly. We don't believe in reading books. We don't believe in Googling. We believe in getting the old men from the Manyatas to come and tell us the stories. We pick up a topic and we record, and then we translate. So that is what Patina Yosim is really big in ensuring that we document these cultural stories and have cultural education sessions. Documenting Indigenous knowledge through youth-led storytelling and oral history projects. Even our youth, those that have finished Form 4, they have a lot of time in their hands. We invite them to be the one that are recording these stories. One, they'll be learning themselves. And second, they are also learning a skill of recording and also making something small for themselves. Also embedding Indigenous land stewardship principle in our ecotourism and climate action effort. I said we are big in Indigenous knowledge, and everything that we do, we ensure that there's something Indigenous. So we ensure we embed Indigenous land stewardship principles into what we are learning in our climate action program. So Kajiado has Amboseli National Park, which is one of our unique tourist assets. And we have the Maasai culture. We also have natural and cultural heritage. And these three are areas that communities can leverage on. We also have the challenges that we are facing right now as local communities, which is limited economic impact for locals. We are not seeing that. Exploitation of cultural heritage. So you have women who are bidders selling their merchandise at $2, but when you go to the hotel, the same thing that's on top of their table there is $500. And then environmental degradation. So the role of Partner in bridging the gap. What are we doing as an organization in bridging this gap? One is empowering women and youth to also have a voice and to be included in the decision-making spaces. Cultural preservation and education. We want to preserve our culture. We want to educate everyone about the Maasai culture, and we want that done authentically. Promoting sustainable practices, and these practices is all holistic. So from the bidding that the women make to the stories that the wazee tell or the elders tell, and also what we offer our guests when they stop by. We have to ensure that it is sustainable, it is authentic, and also advocate for community participation. We ensure that when there are meetings, the community is included. And we are leveraging tourism for community resilience, and how we are doing that is community-led tourism initiative. We have programs that we've taken advantage of being along the tourism route so that our community feel that they own and control the processes, that it's their cultural and they have cultural and economic benefits for our community, and there's sustainable community growth. Integrating environmental sustainability into tourism development. So we have eco-friendly tourism practices, partnership for conservation, and climate adaptation and resilience. And we ensure that climate adaptation, for instance, and resilience also is taught in Maasai and examples given in Maasai so that they can understand what we are talking about. Empowering local women and youth through tourism-related employment and training. So we have a program that has created job opportunities and empowered women, and training and capacity building, leadership and representation. So we ensure that now our women can sit in those committees in the village. We have Nyumba Kumi representatives now. We have the first chief woman. Actually, there are two now, the two assistant chiefs women, and that's through the leadership and representation advocacy program. And job creation is through our sustainable livelihood program. And a good example that I'll share with you is the partnership with Intrepid Travel through their foundation, Intrepid Foundation, which is a collaboration rooted in shared values of sustainability, equity, and local impact. So a brief history is Intrepid Travel, as you're aware, is one of well-renowned travel company. And 2 years ago, at the height of a drought, they visited us, and we had a meeting with community members. The photo below on your left-hand side is a meeting that they came, and we had men and women in this meeting. And we had just partnered with Intrepid, but we were still doing our baseline survey, just trying to identify what we can do. So we met women groups because they are very big on women and youth empowerment. And they identified a program that they wanted to do, which is tailoring. And these are Maasai women that have not gone to school. And they said bidding, they don't like bidding anymore because they don't have a place to sell the beads. So Intrepid came in and supported us, and we opened our first tailoring shop in a community called North Sudan. And we have 15 women trained as tailors. And on top of that, they also gave those women business. So we are producing bags for Intrepid Travels. Those are the bags that they are holding. So beside the skill, they have the skill, and now they have the market. So this is what we are talking about when we talk of different models of empowering communities. You invest on people first before you invest on a place or your business. So they invested in our community before they even started an Amboseli route, because they don't operate Amboseli, they are starting. And also, they ensured that they are not just giving us the resources to buy the machines and train the women, but also ensuring that there is sustainable business for these trained women. So these women now earn between 6,000 and 16,000 and another 18,000 a month through production of these bags. And peak season, they can even get more money. And last year as well, they supported us to put up community hub, where we are opening our second workshop. This workshop will now take more women. It will take bidders, and it will take tailors as well. We'll also have a shop to sell the merchandise that these women are making. So instead of them hawking at the gates at Amboseli, we will have a shop where they can sell their beads. So Intrepid became our supporter or our partner, and also became our first market. So when we talk of sustainable tourism, I think they are very good, a good example. So what empowering tourism looks like? For us, we look at three things: recognition, acknowledging that communities are right holders, we are not just stakeholders; redistribution, ensuring revenue and opportunities flow equitably, especially to women and youth; and representation, giving communities a real seat at the table on boards, in marketing, and decision making. So we believe if we are given those three, we will feel included. And true stewardship happens when those who protect land, language, and legacy benefit from their care. Without the care that our community has given the wildlife all those years, we would not be having this Amboseli or Samburu or Masai Mara. And to end my presentation, I want to leave you with this: that tourism must evolve from being a lens through which people observe community life to a bridge through which communities co-create better lives. And for us, Intrepid Foundation is a good example. They are the bridge which our communities now have created better lives. They've supported this program. We have women that are earning. We have children that are being educated through this program. And we have also children that are eating healthy meals at home because their mothers have something in the pocket. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for an amazing, amazing presentation. And I think that closing remark summarizes it all. Tourism must shift from being a lens through which tourists observe communities to a bridge for communities to co-create better lives. I don't think we could have put it in a much better way than that. Thank you for many other eye-opening examples that you have given us about missed opportunities in tourism being a force for good, and then finishing with an example of a model. I don't know whether my fellow listeners, participants, we had this clearly, but I picked this out. And you remember I talked about flipping the model from CSR, which starts with the corporate and then ends up with the responsibility and community somewhere in the middle. And in this presentation, we have heard that Intrepid actually have invested in the community before investing in their enterprise. They don't have an operation going on in Amboseli. But because we are flipping the model, if we are truly being accountable, moving away from responsibility to accountability, they have come to check the community where they are going to invest. And they have said, we are going to create opportunities for this community even before we invest in them. That is flipping the model, because traditionally, CSR happens when the business has been set up. Then after it has made profit, it looks around and sees where it can throw a little coins here and there and call it corporate social responsibility. But here we are talking about flipping the model, investing in the community and their cultures and their livelihoods before you invest in your enterprise. That is truly a new and innovative way of tourism being a force for good in destinations. We've had many, if you listen carefully to the discussions on missed opportunity, you realize that what actually Semerian is telling us, that it's time for a shift. She's saying it can't be the same story 40 years later. It's time for a shift, and it has to be a transformative, powerful shift, right? Where the difference is going to be seen, where we want to turn around the traditional corporate social responsibility into a model of investment, right? That is focused on communities at the front. She kept saying communities are not at the table making decisions. I picked something very powerful when she said that elders with this amazing indigenous knowledge have no seat in tourism planning. Their voices are not represented in tourism planning. And yet they could add significant value to the tourism industry, making the businesses more resilient and also empowering more communities. And before, as I say this, we are going to look at the questions that came in when you were registering, but you can also put your comments on the chat or questions on the chat. And if you really want to make a comment, we'll give you a chance at the end. Just say, I would like to make a comment, and we'll give you a chance after we've looked through the questions so that you can unmute yourself and make a comment. Thanks, Phoebe. Yeah, it's time to shift. And your closing remark about true stewardship. I think we should put back that slide. Did you see the last statement on the slide when she talked about land, language, and legacy, right? True tourism stewardship. It's also investing in what the communities want, in what the communities value the most, in what makes a difference for them. And I like the idea of land, language, and legacy as areas of establishing how do we recognize, yeah? How do we tell that actually tourism is doing good? So having said those many remarks, and I will conclude with others later on, I would like to engage Semerian with some of the questions. I know some of these questions she has answered already, but one of them was, how do local residents perceive the influx of tourism in their community? I know you have answered it before, but you can just say maybe a sentence or so to reiterate what you said earlier on. How do local residents perceive the influx of tourists in their community?
Good question. One thing is that, as you know, Maasai community is very accommodative. So we love guests. We never have a problem with guests. We only have a problem with guests when it's total disrespect or abuse of culture. That is when they will act. So the only issue that they are having is the vehicles, not even the humans. It's the vehicles because of their livestock. We have a lot of them that are losing livestock because of being knocked on the road by but mostly not tour vans, but private tourists. You hardly get accidents through the tour vans. The accidents that mostly happen are the family members, the friends, the young people, driving to Amboseli in high speeds. So those are the challenges that they are having. And so that is not an issue. The issue is they are not seeing anything coming to them. That is a big problem. And now, because people are enlightened, they can see what's happening in Masai Mara with, for instance, Basecamp Foundation, what they have done, investing in communities. We are not seeing that happening in Amboseli. So people are starting to ask questions, but they don't have a problem with the numbers.
Thank you for that. The other question, and I'm looking at the chat, please put in your questions there as well. How can transparency and accountability be ensured in tourism initiatives that aim to benefit communities? How can transparency and accountability?
So I'll just give a good example of ourselves, because I'll not speak for someone else. I'll speak for ourselves because we are a beneficiary of a tour company that has a foundation. So Intrepid Foundation, of course, through Intrepid Travels. So they are the ones that supported our skill training, our tailoring skill training program. So we ensure that, of course, like every funder, we do our reports. And the beauty is that they don't give you money and they sit in Nairobi or wherever and just assume it's happening. We always have them coming to spend time with the women. So they come to the workshop, they come with the whole team, and they even cook with the community and spend a weekend with them. So accountability, they can see for themselves because they see what was purchased. They see women that are being trained. They have given them businesses, so they are buying the product from the women. So it is a very straight reporting kind of thing. So if an investor or if a business is serious on investing with communities, then you need to also ensure you create time to visit that community. You don't just give out money and sit and assume things are happening. It will be good if you actually go and also have a relationship with that community. And I think accountability issue will not come up if you also invest your time to visit and own as well, because it's just not about money sometimes. Sometimes you could be bringing knowledge, or even the community would just want to see this person that has done this great thing for us.
Okay.
So we report every year, and we always have them almost every year, a few months we have them in the field.
Great. Yeah, and that's why that resonates, Semerian, with what we believe in, that documentation is the beginning of accountability and transparency. And documentation in a way that the information can be evaluated, in a way that the information can be interpreted. So proper documentation is the beginning of transparency and accountability, and it must come from both parties. And there has to be checks and balances, and the persons who provide checks and balances between the management organization and the supporting organization, tourism business, the community are the ones who would provide the checks and balances. So it is important what you say, because they should not just see the face of Patina Awesome, they should see another person whom they can freely have an opportunity to speak with and interact with and build relationship with. But basically, there cannot be accountability without documentation. So when for example, in some work that I do around sustainability assessment, and I go and talk to tourism companies, and they're saying to me, "Oh, Judy, we have been supporting communities, and we are working in education, and we are working in healthcare." And then I ask the simple question: where are your baselines, right? Where did you start with the community?
Yes.
So that I can tell that truly you are showing me some figure and telling me that I have invested 50,000 in this community. And I ask, where did you start? Before your intervention, what did we look like? What does the baseline look like? And what has been the documented reports that are verified and validated by the community as well? So whoever asked this question, we're telling you that accountability and transparency starts with documentation, being very clear about where and what you're investing in. What is the status of women? Women lack economic empowerment. What are we going to do? We are going to give them a skill. How many of them are we going to train? We are going to train 15 of them. How much equipment are we going to buy them? We are going to do this. How are we going to access the market? We are actually providing the market, and the volume of trade within this period has been like this, right? And that information should be available. And this is when we come to the issue of reporting, right? If tourism is a force for good, we must find thousands and millions of accountability reports out there. We must find millions of witnesses, of community witnesses. Like we have a community witness today. I call Semerian a community witness, right? We should have community witnesses and community voices that are able to tell their own story of transformation. And I always say there is power in the narrative of the beneficiary and host communities. And that the best story that we can tell about a place or a tourism destination is a story of the communities of place. And it has to be from their voice. That is the authentic. And Semerian mentioned the word authentic so many times. That is the authentic story of place. And tourism can give this guidance and direction and can work with host communities directly or through intermediary organizations to produce a change in the destination. Sometimes I have a challenge of transparency. I'm dwelling on this thing of transparency. Sometimes I have a challenge on transparency when a tourism enterprise does not work with an intermediary community organization. And they want to do what Semerian is calling gatekeeping. They are the ones receiving the money maybe from tourists. They are the ones giving it to the community. They are the ones buying everything. They're the ones writing the report. Who is providing checks and balances for that kind of tourism businesses? So it's important. If tourism is really going to be a force for good, tourism must also empower indigenous, local, and community organizations to lead their change, like Semerian has told us. Not that the tourism enterprise leads the change on behalf of the community. Empower organizations on the ground to lead the change, right? If you want to experience a culture as a tourism business and support this rich traditional legacy of a community, yeah, you don't go and set up your own center and put a few people there and say, I want to manage it so that when I send my visitors there, I know that they will get the quality of service that I had. That for me is not being a force for good. That is strengthening your business. That is making sure that you cushion your business. It's different from being a force for good in the community. I hope we have adequately addressed the question. Semerian, I don't know whether you want to add anything on accountability and transparency.
Yes, when you're talking, I just remembered when we got the partnership, for instance, with Intrepid Foundation, they came and they told us we will come and the whole community, we need to meet both male and female. The program is for women, but they wanted first to ensure that the community has the buying of this program. That is not Patinai or Sim, what is it called? Deciding for them, but it is them. So they met the men and they met the women, and the men actually said, we have no problem. We know this is a women program. We will support it. We are, because at the end of the day, we are a patriarchal community where men are the decision makers, so they can choose not to allow those women to come for training. So we had to ensure that we respect culture. They are the heads, so we ensured that we engage them at the beginning. Second, we didn't have a space. So they said they want to start tailoring or a program in tailoring, but we are in a village, there is no space. But there was a church that had built a community hall that was dilapidated. So they gave us that space, but we had to renovate it. And Intrepid gave us the resources to do that, to put it in shape, to be able to begin the classes. And when we did, the first time it rained inside. And lucky enough, Intrepid were around on that weekend. They even got stuck. Do you know the general manager, he saw what has happened. The following week, they added more money. They gave us more money to fix the place properly. So that's what I'm saying. When you invest on time and ensuring that you also visit, you get to pick even other challenges that maybe the partner organization would not be able to talk about. Because honestly, I would not have asked for more money. I was scared. I've just been given money and I'm now saying, oh, I need more money. I mean, I'm not thankful, so I would not have asked. But he didn't even tell me. Just 2 weeks later, I was called and said, we are sending more money because I think you people have a big problem. You need more money. So yeah, just wanted to add on that. And I am seeing a message on how are the impacts social and environmental measured. So how we measure our impact, for instance, for social is simple. How many women are able to get, how many women get earning X amount a month now? We have tailors now that have an income. We have children that are going to school because their mom have something in their pocket. They are eating healthy and they are wearing beautiful uniform. Because they've made uniform for their children, they've become tailors. So they are not going to a Mali town to buy uniforms now. They are actually making uniforms at the center. And not just for their children, but they are making uniforms for the rest of the schools now. So that's how we measure. We measure household level. And then our environment program is a lot of education, sensitization, advocacy, and that we've seen by not having as many trees being sold. They sell. Maasai don't burn charcoal. They sell the trees to the Kamba community, who are our neighbors, and they burn the charcoal. So they are not, they are aware that if I cut a tree now, I'll be reported and the chief will, I'll be apprehended. So that's how we measure impact. There's another one. Thank you for Jusic. Oh, cultural commodification. Yes. Do you see a risk? Yes. We see a risk. Sorry. Where is it? Yeah, we see a risk on cultural commodification, but as I mentioned before that, but in IOSIM, we try to intentionally flip that narrative. We aim for cultural sharing, not cultural selling. So we share, we don't sell. So I think that's my answer for that one.
Yeah, I like that. Cultural sharing and not cultural selling.
Yes.
That sounds very interesting. I just wanted, I know we had a pre-conversation and I was pretty excited about the packages, the cultural package that you are contemplating together with Intrepid. The whole model is exciting, from empowering communities and out of it, building an experience that they're going to include in their package. And you mentioned in our pre-conversation that there will be a full day cultural encounter around Patinai Osim, and not just, and I'm going to say that encounter does not include performances. So how do you package and present a full day cultural experience without performances, now that you're saying you're sharing and not selling?
Yes, so as I mentioned that we've come up with a curriculum which is a cultural immersion. So we have so many topics. So you choose as a guest, you choose what topic to listen to. Is it about how did Maasai used to conserve the environment? How did women, how did they attend to reproductive health challenges? I mean, different topics, and we have elders that are assigned because the older ones, they know this one was very good, for instance, with what we call physiotherapy now, which for them was also treatment of such. We have an elder that is known to be very good with that, never gone to school, is blind now, but people queue to see him even now. So one full day comes, they come from Amboseli and come to Patinayo Sim at around 10 o'clock in the morning. We will have a cup of tea and mandazi with them. And of course, the center has women because the workshop is there. We have a shop. I mean, we have a lot of activities going on. So they want to spend time and do what the women are doing. So we have those that want to be taught how to bead. So those ones will be with the beaders. You have those ones who want to listen to cultural stories or education. Those ones will select what topic they want and they'll go to their session. Then we will have lunch with them. And Intrepid, they can set kitchens everywhere. So that's what they do even when they come to the community. So they want to come and actually cook with the women and also learn our diet as Maasai. How do we cook? So we'll have lunch with them. We are definitely not having dancers and everything. We are not doing that. Then after that, we have others that want the traditional Maasai folk songs and meanings, like the ones women used to sing during when a child is born, or when circumcision has happened, or when a Moran has killed a lion. They want to understand that. So with the afternoon session, we'll be now having groups of those ones, and we'll have, of course, people translating the meaning of the songs and everything. Yeah.
Great, so powerful. Yeah. So because the traditional exchange in tourism, the old model, again, we are talking flipping the models. It's about taking a group of visitors to a cultural center, having a bit of entertainment without interpretation, and then there's a bit of craft selling, and they leave, and it never barely lasts an hour. It's so quick because it's not even structured in the first place. It's an afterthought, and the driver probably does not even, the company never gets to know that the driver made the stop, because the companies are not selling this massive experiences. So even having a full day cultural experience, yeah, in a center which is not just designed for performances, is also about flipping the model and how to truly invest in and promote the culture of the people of place. And I know if there are any tour operators here, they will find that very exciting. That there can be an opportunity to spend even a whole day at a place where there is immersive experiences and learning with the communities, including providing food. I think not many tour operators will think of their guests eating in a community setup. Yeah. So again, we are talking about truly flipping the model to make tourism benefit host communities.
And also,
yeah.
Also to add on that is that you have tourists that actually want to travel for good. So they also not, yes, as much as they are traveling, for leisure, they also want to leave an impact. As our partner Intrepid slogan goes, leaving our footprints wherever we go. Is you have those tourists that want to leave their footprints wherever they go. And those are the ones that want to actually dig deep. They are not looking at their clock, oh, it's time for a game drive. They actually buy that one day to do whatever, to learn as much as possible. And the beauty is they are listening to stories from the horse's mouth, if I can put it that way. They are not reading, they are not watching, they are actually listening, and they can ask questions and be answered there and then. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that. I think, yes, that's another way we can look at flipping the model and making the shift that we so need for tourism to realize its potential as a force for good in the destination. I'm just looking, and I'm just looking for such. Thank you. We also say that these webinars, thank you, Phoebe, are a place where we make networks. So you can add Patinai Osim to your network today. Semerian, maybe you'll post the contact that you want to share. If there are operators here who may want to experience what you are doing and bring their guests for full day experience on the Ambosali route, that they'll be able to get in touch with you, because we also provide opportunity for networking in this place. So if you want to get in touch with Semerian and see how you can be part of what they are doing, you are free to do so. I want to wrap up this discussion today. And I haven't seen any hands up. I haven't seen anyone who wants to make a contribution, a 1 minute or contribution or observation of what we have had today. I haven't seen anyone put up their hands. And so if we have nobody who wants to make a direct contribution by speaking, I'm bringing this to a close. And I would like to say that one of the things that I have learned today, and it's very, very powerful for me. Sorry about that. It's very powerful for me that by prioritizing direct and simultaneous investment in community development, direct and simultaneous, which means as you build your business, you are building communities, and you're doing direct investment in communities. When tourism prioritizes direct and simultaneous investment in community development, tourism can create lasting partnerships that transform communities, lasting partnerships that transform communities and empower local residents. And it empowers them to shape tourism as they shape their future. Not just shape their future, to shape tourism as they shape their future. So there's something about prioritizing direct and simultaneous investments in community as you invest in your model. It's part of shifting the model from the traditional corporate social responsibility. We are looking into what we have had today. I would call it an investment focused approach, right? Community investment focused approach, right? That helps to redefine the space of community as resource owners, right? Which we had here, that communities are actually resource or asset owners. The assets upon which tourism is developed are owned, managed for centuries by communities. So how do we redefine their role and their space, right? From being what Semerian said, from being stakeholders into right holders. So when we are flipping the model, we are redefining the role of community. We are saying they are not just stakeholders to be recognized, but they are rights holders, right, to be consulted. Not stakeholders to be recognized, but rights holders to be consulted, because they have the indigenous knowledge of space. And so I loved your 3 R's, right? That how does the face of, how do we see the face of tourism in communities? And you use the 3 R's: recognition, redistribution, and representation. Yeah. each one of those, when we break them down, recognition, redistribution, and representation, we can come up with very, very powerful programs, very powerful initiatives, transformative initiatives that will make a difference in the destination. And lastly, as we finish, I will use exactly Semerian's words. Invest in the people of place before you invest in marketing and your enterprise. Invest in the people of place. It's one of your pillars that every responsible tourism investment, if you're looking at your marketing, your promotion, your designs, one of the pillars that should come right in front is investing in the people of place as you simultaneously look at the others. So we are telling investors today that add a new pillar, tourism investors, add a new pillar when you're considering your investments. Call it the pillar of the people of place, investing in the people of place, and calculate that investment and put it in your books so that when you're doing your responsible accounting, you have accountability for your investments in the people of place. And so we remove the whole challenge of greenwashing and guesswork in working with communities. And today we have seen a model that works, that there is actually a model that can be transformative, and it is one that has been flipped over. It is time for the shift. Thank you so much, Semerian. I hope that we will come very soon for a learning trip to Patinai. Awesome.
Oh yes, welcome.
To come for a learning trip and see exactly what you're doing so that we can also be witnesses, not just hearers, but witnesses. And I believe it is a very good case study. As I finish, I would like to just announce to those who are here, if you have not heard, we are having the 10th Sustainable Tourism Africa Summit in Diani on 8th and 9th of May. I think we're just about 40-something days away from it. And this kind of conversation, this is the tip of the iceberg. These are the kinds of conversations that we have for 2 days at the Sustainable Tourism Africa Summit. Deep, authentic conversations that's aimed to transform mindsets in tourism and how tourism works. Today, I have learned a few things from Semerian that I will add. I will be making a presentation on making the shift from best practices to valuable practices. And I have learned some valuable practices from the examples that have been given here today. If you would like to join us, the link is on the chat. My colleague Dominic has put it there. You can go to events.sttakenya.org. The recording of this discussion and this conversation will be available on our YouTube channel. Again, Dominic has put the link out there. You can also email us at stas@sttakenya.org, whether you want to talk about these webinars or want to talk about the Sustainable Tourism Africa Summit. And now over to you, Semerian, for your parting shots.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. And as we part, I just have one call to action. Tourism should not just be about seeing, it should be about learning, respecting, and connecting. We invite partners to join us in building a future where Indigenous communities lead the way in resilience and sustainability. We will be there. We are not moving out of those counties, and the wildlife will never move. So we will always be the host communities of tourism in Kenya. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just remember learn, respect, connect. Yeah?
Yes.
Not just seeing. Tourism is about seeing. It's about learning, respecting and connecting. So if you're a tour operator and you're here and you put packages together, ask yourself, what is it about my package? Is it just about seeing, or there's learning, there's respecting, and there's connecting? If you have not made the full connection, here is your chance. Again, our webinars are eye-openers. about shifting mindsets. And today you can go and rethink your tourism packages and models. You can rethink community engagement. You can rethink investing with communities. You can rethink community empowerment. But more so, if you're an operator in Kenya, you have found a plug for the Amboseli route for
Yep.
community,
Yes,
community engagement and connection. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
You.
We will come to the end of this, and I will just ask my colleague Dominic to let us know if there's any other administrative issues. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Semerian, for your
Judy.
time. We appreciate. Dominic?
Yeah, thank you everyone for taking your time for this webinar. Kindly, if you're able to, we would like to see you. So we want to take a screenshot of this for recording purposes alone. So if you're able to, let us see your face. Just a minute. Thank you. Who else am I missing? Felix, Marion, Joseph, Esther. Nice to see you all. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now. Look out for the recording. See you next time for the next webinar. It's been a pleasure. Bye.
Bye.
So very nice seminar.